Hey, what's up guys? John here. 1 out of 10 homeowners right now that are selling their properties are doing so because their boss, their employer, is forcing them back into the office.
Warning for workers. Some of the country's biggest companies are pushing to get employees back in the office, and they're not being subtle.
Companies have been requiring their employees to come back into the office.
Goldman Sachs reportedly ramping up efforts to get employees back to the office 5 days a week.
Now, the last few years, what did we see? We saw a huge migration from Los Angeles, San Francisco, even locations like Boston, Philadelphia, New York City, and many others, leaving these highly restricted areas and going into areas with very limited or low income tax, very favorable lifestyle, and just a better all environment, many would argue. But what we're looking at now is a complete change in the overall housing market as many of these people are getting forced back into these areas. And what I think is very likely going to happen next is going to be shocking. I'm going to break it down for you with clear, verifiable facts. Please hit the like button. YouTube will share this content, educate more people about what's really going on. And if you want to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, any negative item on your credit report, do not let it sit there. One negative item can sit in your report for upwards of 7 years, and a late payment can drop your score upwards of 180 points. So if you need help, we'd love to help you at GreatCreditFast.com. Take a look at this. So 1 in 10 home sellers are moving because they're being called back to the office. But if you look at this, it's very fascinating. This is the survey of home inventory since April. In April, there's 563,000 homes, right? That increased about 20,000 from May. Well, from May to June, it increased about 30,000. And then it increased another 30,000. And then another almost 30,000, another 25,000. You're seeing every single month more and more and more inventory is hitting the market. We're starting to see this home shortage get questioned. And I believe over the next 6 months, this inventory is likely going to hit over 1 million homes on the market for a variety of reasons that I'm going to get into in just a second. So return to office mandates are forcing some people to choose between selling their home at a loss or losing their job. Roughly 20% of surveyed sellers say that they're moving due to safety and crime concerns, a desire to live somewhere with more aligned with their social views, and or lower taxes. And about 10% cite discrimination in their neighborhood. I don't know about that. And then they say this situation, this change here as a reason, aka increased insurance costs, increased property ownership costs, right? They're saying here that according to Redfin, surveys conducted on 5,079 residents. So, and there's over 10% of all home sellers are relocating because of this. Look at this. So breaking, a third of Americans earning $150,000 a year or more say they're living paycheck to paycheck, and many rely on credit cards to close the gap. That's people making 10, 12 grand a month, 12, 13 grand a month. They are paycheck to paycheck, right? This is now the new America. $150,000 a year is the new paycheck to paycheck. A typical worker takes home $3,308 per month after taxes, and the average rent is $2,029. So 61% of take-home pay goes just to rent. Well, if you look at where home prices are right now, average home price $410,000, right? $410,000 average mortgage payment, mortgage interest rate with a 700 credit score is about 8%. If you have let's call it a 660, you're looking at 8.5%. 8.5% on a 30-year fix. If you have perfect credit, 7.61%. The average credit score in America is a 698, so it's about 8.34%. Now, some people say, hey, John, I have a mortgage loan officer. They can give me a loan for 8%. And for those people, I'm going to do the numbers based on an 8% interest rate. On a $410,000 home price with 6% down, 30-year fixed, 8% mortgage, $3,400 a month. Well, the average rent is $2,000, right? It's not even $2,100. So how many people are going to say, I'm going to opt from going from paying $2,000 a month in rent to going to buy a home for $3,400 a month in a monthly payment plus maintenance, and plus you need $24,000 for a down payment? Not many people. So as this inventory starts to, let's just call it expand, and the pool of buyers in which they're able to buy continues to contract, what's ultimately going to happen? There's going to be more home sellers fighting for a limited pool of home buyers, which is going to start to present an opportunity in the housing market. Not to mention that student loans starting October 1st, you're going to have tens of millions of people, 44 million to be specific, owe between $200 and $300 each month. And depending on your degree, if you went for your master's or you really climbed the ladder in college, it could be over $500 per month. So this is going to be a great question. So you have to ask yourself, well, how much do you have to afford right now to be able to go out there and buy a home? If you have a $200,000 in annual income, $200,000, so you're like an attorney, you're a physician, you're a dentist, you're someone that probably applied yourself for your entire life to make $200,000 a year, well, congratulations, now you can buy a median home in America. Like, how is that sustainable? If you have $500, maybe you have student loans. If you're a physician, dentist, doctor, probably have more than $500 in monthly debts. Probably have, probably a couple thousand with student loans and things like that. $25,000 is a down payment, debt to income ratio 24%, and interest rate 8%. $401,000. And so to buy a home in a nice area, you would be house poor to afford something around, say, $650,000 to $700,000, to the point to where you're going to save for less and you're living on coupons. So, and you probably wouldn't be able to get that loan. It would probably be somewhere around $400,000 to $450,000 is what that type of high-income earner would be able to afford in today's economy. So the big question is, when you have such a tight supply of home inventory, only 660,000 homes on the market, and then you have a few moving variables. You have a ton of home inventory that's going to be hitting the market through home builders. Over 400,000 units set to hit the market the next few months. 1.7 million housing units under construction currently in America. And these housing units, these new construction properties in many areas are less expensive than a pre-existing home. So you have all these new homes competing with pre-existing homes, and then you have a lot of people that own these properties that are looking and saying, you know what, I don't have equity. I don't know what to do. Like, what should I be doing? Many of these people are going to be selling their homes. If they have the ability, they're going to be giving them back to the bank. They're going to be handing the keys to a renter, try to rent out their homes. But you have to pay attention to this major phenomenon that's happening right now around insurance and taxes. Is every single year it's going to get more and more and more expensive for a traditional property owner to hold on in many of these quote-unquote high-risk areas. So they said right here, my sellers both work in the same company, which told them they have to be in the office 3 days a week or they'll lose their jobs. They have 6 months to make the move. They'll probably have to take a $100,000 loss on their home. The new home in Seattle won't be anything close to the size of their property in Boise, and the mortgage rate will be much higher. Amazon, Apple, Goldman, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Meta are among the major companies that have asked their employees to come back to the office at least part-time. Roughly 1 in 5 respondents cited social views, taxes, and crime as a reason to move. And so if you look at this, desire for more space is most common reason for correspondents citing to move. They want more space, they want to be closer to family, they want a lower overall cost of living. You start to look at all these changes, but I'm telling you, one of the biggest changes is going to be affordability, and it's right here. It's right here in the numbers. $400,000 home, $3,500 a month. That is just so crazy to me. $200,000 income to be able to afford that. $200,000 income, and you have a $150,000 earner that's paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck. So you tell me, how is this housing market going to be sustainable with this short supply of inventory? If you just add 100,000 homes, 150,000 homes, which is not much, to this current existing 669,173 homes, you'll see this market flip to a buyer's market. You're going to start to see that, I believe, as student loans become due. Next year starts to get harder and harder. 24 and 25 are going to be a lot harder than 21 and 22. I'm telling you, the next couple of years, it's going to be a massive, massive wealth transfer, and people need to be prepared for it. The people that, looked at the housing market before and said, oh, homes can only go up in value. Homes are only going to increase because, inflation and all these different reasons that they had. At the end of the day, it comes down to what people can afford. It comes down to what people can afford, what people can actually hold on to during the tough times. And I don't think it's going to be a home for many. What do you think about this situation? Do you think we're walking into a scenario in which we are going to start to see sometime next year, early next year, we're going to start seeing more and more and more home inventory hit the market, and we're going to start seeing a lot of people, cutting back big time in spending? If so, now is probably a great time to build out a game plan, a strategy. Maybe you have high interest rate consumer debt. Maybe you are looking at a specific investment property or a specific area in which you want to invest. Now's a great time to do the research. A really great time to speak to a mortgage loan officer. Not saying to buy, but you can speak to one and they'll tell you, okay, here's where you need to be in terms of income. Here's how much money you would likely need to have as a down payment. Here's where your credit score needs to be able to get the best loan. They'll be able to help you essentially build out a tailored game plan to buy that property you're looking for. And then during that time, you reverse engineer maybe a 6-month game plan, get everything ready, and then in 6 months, maybe the market's in a different place and you're able to go out there, you're already prepared, you're already approved for the loan, and you just move forward and close on your deal. But be patient, but yet aggressive. Really learn, study, and put yourself in the strongest position possible to capitalize on the greatest wealth transfer of all time. And again, if you need any help fixing your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. You can click the link below in the description of this video for a free consultation, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.